testimony part 2, and I didn't even realize I skipped one of the most important things before I went to me being saved and all that stuff. One of the most important things that happened to me before my mother even left, before all that stuff happened. It was February 18th, 2001. The way I dealt with my dad and the way everything in my life, the direction it took me was drugs and alcohol and a whole laundry list of other things. That was my outlet. It was there, I did it. If it was there to try, I tried it. I was not a good person. I've been arrested more times than I can count before I was 18 for assault, battery, possession, distribution, what that word is. I did so much bad stuff before I was 18 years old because I was the worst of the worst, because I took all that hate and all that anger and all that violence and I turned it into something that I couldn't even recognize myself. I was not a good person. Boy, I was not a good person at all. But one day changed that. I was 17. February 8th. Actually, rewind. It happened twice. The first time was June 21st of 2000. I got in 2 consecutive car accidents. The first one was pretty bad. Yeah, it's pretty bad. A lot of bad stuff happened. I broke everything. I mean, it was bad. But it wasn't enough to wake me up. It was the one 6 months later. 6 months later, God got my attention again. 6 months. 2 car accidents in 6 months. Because drinking and being stupid and being around the people that you shouldn't be around. Anyways, I was 17. And I let a friend of mine drive, and we were both drinking. We were both at fault. We were stupid kids. And she was driving. We found out she was driving 85 miles an hour in the truck. My friend was behind us, and that's the only reason why I have any account of this, what happened, because he saw it all. We lost control on the service road going from Millsap back to Soda Springs. We hit the concrete culvert going 85 the first time. She flew out my window. The truck kept going and spinning, and it hit the second concrete culvert. I flew out the window, and I went surfing down the road like this, like a human crash test dummy, literally. And I exploded everything in my body, like so much. Gone. And because she had flown out the way she did, she had road rash on her face. So the medics at the time got tunnel vision and took her by care flight because they thought she had brain damage and all this stuff. Rightfully so, I guess, because it looked like she had some bad stuff. So they took her care flight and they left my ass sitting on the side of the road, sitting there dying for quite some time while they found an ambulance come get me and ground pound me to JPS before they figured out, oh man, she's really messed up. Anyways, I was sitting there and I didn't know what was wrong, because this is before I had any EMS background, any medical background. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I just knew I was messed up and I was hurting, and I wasn't sure if I was going to make it to the hospital. And they left me there, and they finally got an ambulance there. And there's a state trooper sitting there like yelling at me and calling me all these names in the book and saying I'm a drunk, I'm an alcoholic, it's all my fault, when I wasn't even one of them driving. I wasn't driving. He even followed us to the hospital. My grandparents had to kick his butt out of that room because he was still accosting me, saying I caused this, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm freaking dying. Can you stop? Anyways, they took me to, I don't remember much of the ride there, and I don't remember much of the hospital. And I remember being the first time I got in the ER, the first time I woke up, and they were like pumping all the blood out of me and like putting me back together and all this stuff. And I remember my mother like in tears. I remember her like there, and she was freaking out, and like everybody's looks on their face. I'm like, this ain't good. This ain't good. Oh my gosh, what is going on? And I blacked back out. And then next time I remember waking up, I was in a hospital bed in ICU, and I look at my arm, my left arm, and it's about that big around. From here to there, that big around. Just wrapped in an ace bandage. And I was like, what the hell? And my brother's like, dude, you're so messed up. I remember my brother, and he was like right there and like trying to scare the crap out of me. I black out again. I wake back up a couple days later. I'm back up. My arm's gone down a little bit, but I got a new little concoction on my arm, and I have no idea what's going on. I'm like, and it feels weird. Something don't feel right. I'm like, what the hell? And my brother's there again. Dude, you got a new arm. Dude, you got a metal arm. Oh my gosh, you're alive. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what the hell? And I black out again. I probably didn't stay awake till probably like the 5th or 6th day I was in the hospital when they finally explained to me what had happened. And I woke up, and my mother and my grandmother, I believe, was there, and my brother. And they had told me that my pancreas had exploded, my intestines had exploded. I had so much internal bleeding, it wasn't even funny. I cracked my skull up here, my knee, my back, amongst a bunch of other little piddling things. And then the most serious thing, well, actually the most serious thing was my pancreas and my intestines. But the major thing, the reason why they didn't want to fix my arm till several days later, was my pancreas and my intestines, because they weren't going to spend gazillions of dollars on an arm rebuild if I'm not going to make it, if I'm not going to live. So they just let me sit there in like agony. Oh, let's see if she's going to freaking live. If this is going to work, oh my gosh, can we fix it? Can we repair it? Whatever. Let's not spend all this money. Anyways, I wake up like 5-6 days later and I got a new arm. I have a 3/4 of my arm is now titanium, steel plates, rods, screws, everything you can think of, because my arm was gone. It snowballed. It completely snowballed. I had nothing left. So they reconfigured it as much as they possibly could to get it back together and have me actually have an arm. So now I'm like a RoboCop. Anyways, and it was an unforgettable experience. But that's not the unforgettable part. And y'all might think I'm batshit crazy after I say this, because I feel fat shit crazy. And when I tell people this, it sounds insane. And the only people that know this in this world is my mother, which is now gone, and my brother, because he was there. And, okay, like several weeks after I got released from the hospital, I had to go back to get my first set of staples out of the arm. And, okay, rewind. I will never forget the look, the face, and the name of the doctor that did my procedure and that come in there and checked on me and did all this stuff and everything. His name was Dr. White. I will never forget his face as long as I live. And he's the one that put me back together. Anyways, he said it was a miracle that I made it, because my pancreas is not something you're supposed to come back from like that. It's your pancreas. That's a big part. And they fixed it, and it healed. That's a freaking miracle in itself. And anyways, we went back to the JPS to go talk to him, because he was supposed to come back and look at all my stuff and all my everything and check it, make sure all my shit's working right and my arm's doing what it should and all this stuff. We walk in there and we're like, well, where's the doctor? And we was like, Dr. White, that's the man that did my procedure and everything. And they're like, that doctor doesn't exist. And that gives me chills almost saying that out loud, because I've probably told 3 people this in my entire life, minus the people that were there. I said, that man doesn't exist. We don't know who that is. And from that moment forward, me and my mom are like, what? What? I saw him. She saw him. My brother saw him. He was there. He did all this. I remember him. I will never forget him. They said that man doesn't exist. At John Peter Smith Hospital in Fort Worth, Texas, that man does not exist. And I walked out of there. We all walked out of there. Like, what the hell just happened? And why in the hell? Why me? This was a miracle. This is literally someone came in here. God sent somebody as a miracle, and you will never, ever, ever, don't care how many people you come from here and think I'm crazy. You will never make me not believe it or remember it or not believe that was a actual God and himself sending a miracle to fix me. Why to this day, I do not know. I don't know why God saved me. I don't know why God did that for me, because I was not worth anything. I was not worth nothing at that time. I was the worst of the worst. Oh my gosh, I should have been just sent to the pits of hell right at that moment, because I was a bad person. I was a horrible person. And God saved me. God straight up saved me. And my recovery process from this, nothing. I had it so easy recovering from all that stuff that happened to me. It was like a walk in the park. I should have been in that bed, suffering, not be able to do anything. Nope. I was back to doing my same old life, my same old stuff. It never put me down. It never stopped me. I just went right back to my better life at that point, not the life I had. But it didn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And that's the first moment in my life I saw God. The first moment I truly saw God, but I still wasn't there of knowing God yet. I saw and I experienced, but I wasn't ready to know yet. And that's a big difference, a huge